Hello and welcome back to the channel. Brandon with Davidson Audio, and today we are back with some more Indian videos, and we are going to be discussing the modifications required to your OEM Powerband Saddlebag Lids to accept a much beefier upgraded 6.5. So like I said in the intro, this video we're going to be discussing the modifications required to the OEM 6.5-inch Powerband Saddlebag Lids to accept a much larger 6.5. So you can see here we have modified the backside by cutting out the basket, doing a little bit of sanding to enlarge the opening to accept a much larger speaker. As you can see here, this is just one of the many speakers we like to use here. This is a Cicada Audio compression horn style speaker. Two reasons why we have to modify the lid. The basket on these upgraded speakers are much bigger, and the depth of the speaker is deeper. So if we look at this OEM lid, you can see right here they have a plastic basket in here, and it's got a decent little opening here. But on the back side, you see all this infrastructure which we cut out. This is not structural. It's not going to warp your lid. It's not going to cause a fitment issue. We simply take this whole basket out, make some cuts here, take all these little gusset pieces out, smooth everything out, and then we open this whole opening up. The reason for this basket is put a little bit more protection for the back of the speaker where the wire terminal is, and it's just kind of their design. Now, we do have a pair of speakers that will drop right in here with no modifications, but most of our speakers will still require modification, like the Cicada Audio, the Hertz, just because the basket is slightly larger diameter, so this gets in the way. So what we opt to do is, like I said, we just cut all of it out, smooth it out. That way we can fit a variety of speakers in this. What I'm going to do in this video is walk you through that process to go from this OEM lid, modified OEM lid, to accept a much nicer, higher quality speaker. And this can be done at your house. I'm going to show you the best way that we like to do it. And I'm going to show you with just two simple tools that some people already have to accomplish this. And those, well, it's going to be three tools. One is a nice little oscillating tool. A lot of people like these for trim work and whatnot. This is what we're going to use to help cut majority of the basket out. Next, we have our Milwaukee straight angle grinder. Now we're using this, it's the equivalent to like a Dremel tool. If you get a larger flapper wheel, we use this to sand the opening up bigger, which you'll see. And then you're going to need your 4mm Allen to help tighten in the 4 screws for the speaker opening. And if you're going with the Davidson Audio package, you'll already have these speaker spacer rings for the front fairing. So what we like to do with these is we bolt them down and use this as a guide for how much material we have to take out. First thing we got to do though is protect the lid. As you can see here, we've already put paint protection film all over the lid to ensure that the paint does not get damaged in this process, because it's extremely easy to have a mistake, something happen, and you scratch a lid. So we are going to start getting this one covered up, and then we will go into the cutting out process. All taped off. It's time to start cutting this out, but I do just want to touch base on one thing. I don't want people to think, oh, just because I don't have this paint protection film or I don't have these tools, that you can't do this. One, we do offer a service. You buy a package from us, you can send us our lids. We will do this for you, install the speaker and send them back to you. But with some patience and time, like, you can use some good high quality painter's tape and paint this up or tape this up. I used to do that until we got this nice, this is a paint protection film from JK Tapes. And then obviously we've gotten these tools as we do so many of these modifications for people that we now have them. But I don't want you to get discouraged that you can't do this at home. So now what we're going to do is there is like a little indent line right here. That's where the difference in material is. I'm going to run the oscillating tool around this inside part to cut that out, but then right here I'm going to run it along this inner edge of the bag lid, and then along this basket, so that way when I cut this out, I can pull this out as one piece. I can run it along here to cut each one of these out, and then that's when we're going to go opening it up. So let me get my eye protection, ear protection on, and we're going to go ahead and cut this out real quick, and then I'll show you the sanding part. So that's a very rough cut on it. It's a little bit harder to do with one hand and left-handed, but I just wanted to get the majority of this out before we go sanding it, which is going to be the next step, and then I'll come back and I'll clean all of this up to make it look as nice and neat as possible. The next thing that we're going to have to do is take our 6.5 inch speaker spacer ring, and we're going to bolt this in here because this is going to be our guide of how much material we have to sand to get it even with this spacer ring, because this spacer ring fits the back of the speaker perfectly. So let's go ahead and get that installed on here and start sanding. So with that installed in there, you can see clearly like there is a good size lip all the way around here between my spacer and the actual lid. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use this as a guide. So I'm going to take my flapper wheel and I'm going to start sanding this down until it's even with this, and start going all the way around until we're even with this spacer ring. So I'm going to try to do my best to get this on video. I think it might be a little difficult with me trying to focus on the sanding, so I'm going to do my best, and if not, you're just going to see us click over to us taking this apart. So let's go ahead and do it. So off camera, we were able to get this nice and cleaned up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take these 4 screws out, take our speaker spacer ring out, because we're done with that now, and we're going to address this back side. We're going to clean all of this up, do a little bit of sanding, and using the oscillating tool to clean it up the best we can, and then we will be right back with you to finish this up. This lid is now all prepped and ready to receive our new 6.5, and like I said here, we just cleaned this up so that way there wasn't any burrs or anything. Obviously you're going to have some plastic scuff marks there. That's just from the tooling. So let's grab our speaker and get it loaded in. 2 things before we go ahead and get the speaker loaded. The first is going to be, you always want to check the back side of your speaker. The Cicada audio speakers, the speaker gasket material comes in the box. It's not on the speaker already, but a lot of like the Hertz and some of the other brands utilize a speaker gasket on it already. So you really want to make sure that you put that on there first before installing the speaker. Make sure you get an air and watertight seal in there. And then the other thing we're going to do is, because of the orientation of the speaker holes, you can't drop your speaker in here and line it up like this where we'd like to. You've got to kind of orient it a little to the side, so that way our speaker terminals are facing towards like the bag lock area. That's just going to make it a lot easier to make our wire terminations, because we like to adhere the crossover right back here behind the strap to hide it. So we're just going to set this here, put our 4 screws in there, and that's going to wrap it up. That wraps up this video and this install process. This is something that we get asked quite often. This is why I wanted to make this video, is to show you all what modifications are required to these OEM 6.5 inch Powerband Saddlebag audio lids to accept a much higher end and larger speaker inside these lids. We like to do this modification to a lot of these packages because the fit and finish of the OEM lids is far superior to any other one. Obviously, when it comes to OEM parts, they fit a lot better than any aftermarket part does. We took a lot of time and effort to make our 8-inch lids fit the best that we can make them, but they're not going to fit nearly or just as well as the OEM lids. So this is for the customers that want something to keep the OEM look, the OEM fitment, and just the ease of the OEM lids. In a couple of videos, you're going to see a customer install on a Elite, and we're utilizing the OEM lids, so we're going to be doing the same thing. And then if you remember the burnt orange, the same thing on his. So this is a very common modification that we make here in-house. And like I said, if this is something that y'all want to send your lids down to because you just don't want to do this, or you don't want to run the risk of scratching or damaging anything, feel free to reach out to us when you buy the package and we can work that out. So with that being said, this video, it's a wrap. I just wanted to walk you all through this process to show you how to do this. So again, I'm Brandon with Davidson Audio, located here in Panama City, Florida. So if you need any audio parts or audio upgrade done, installed by us, make sure to reach out to us.